Hey guys, Metal Driver here bringing you another AEW Unrivaled review. Today I'll be looking at the Ringside exclusive Cody and Dustin Rhodes Blood and Guts Blood Brothers 2-pack. So here looking at the front of the box you have all this blood splatter all over the front, which looks really nice. Then on the side you have an image of Cody and Dustin Rhodes along with the AEW logo Blood and Guts Blood Brothers and the number of this set. Then on the back, you've got this image of Cody and Dustin from Double or Nothing that is tinted in red, along with more blood splatters. Alright, now that we have looked at the box, let's go ahead and open this up and take a closer look at the Blood Brothers 2-pack. Alright, here we have Cody and Dustin Rhodes out of the packaging. And normally I would say first let's take a look at the accessories that they come with, but this set does not have any accessories. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at Cody first. Alright, so looking at Cody's head sculpt. Now this is a brand new head sculpt, it's not the same as the previous one. So this one has a screaming expression, or he has his mouth open. It looks really good, it's nicely sculpted. The paint came out well for the most part. Now the mouth on mine, the paint is a little bit off with the teeth and the lips. It's not too terrible in my opinion, it's not as bad as my exclusive Kenny Omega. So if you watched that review you would have seen that the lips and the eyes were very off-centered. So this one only has some just minor issues in that department, but it's not that bad. The eyes look good, the eyebrows look good, the hair has a nice blonde tint to it, but as you can clearly notice, it's not fully blonde because it's got blood all over it. So you've got the red here on the sides, going all the way to the back. Then you got blood on top that's fading down here, so that looks really nice. He's also got blood on the cheeks and on the forehead. So I like that they didn't just paint it with just one similar coat of red. They did a lighter coat here on the cheeks and the face, so to kind of give it that dry look. And then the hair has a deeper red, so it looks stained. So I think Jazzwares did a great job on that. And just in case if you didn't see the match between Cody and Dustin, this is not Cody's blood, because it was Dustin who got busted open in the match. And from what I remember, there was a lot of blood dripping from his head, so that's why you have a lot of blood on Cody. So really good head sculpt, like how that turned out. Alright, then looking at the body, you've got some more blood splatters here on the chest. You've got this bloody handprint here on his left pec. So this is when Cody had blood on his hands and he smeared it on his chest when he was standing outside the ring. You can also see the dream tattoo on his chest with the blood on top of it. Got some more blood splatters here on the arms, on both. And I love how the pattern is different on both arms, it's not the same, so it gives it a more authentic look. Then you've got some dried up blood here. Then here is where he had his white wrist tape, and that's stained with red, so it's got a pinkish tone. You've got these bloody hands, so that's well done. Both hands have that deep blood effect. Then looking at the back, you can see that there's blood dripping from his hair. So really nice touch here. I love this attention to detail, really good. And then, before I go on, you may have noticed that the skin tone on his torso and his arms look much better than Series 1. So I do have Series 1 Cody right here. And if you watched my Series 1 review, one of the issues that I had with Series 1 was that the skin tone was pale and yellow looking, and it also was mismatched here, as you can see. Whereas on this exclusive Cody, they fixed that. So the skin tone on the abs and the chest are more similar to each other. It does look a little bit darker on the abs, but that could just be the lighting. But overall, the flesh tone looks much better. So I'm really glad that this Cody has the corrected skin tone. Then, going down to his tights, as you can see here, it's got this plastic from the packaging, so let's go ahead and take that off. Alright, then looking at the tights, it is the same design as Series 1 because both figures are from his Double or Nothing match in 2019. So obviously they would have the same tight design. So I'm not going to review or look at specifically the tights themselves, at least from a design standpoint, because I already did that with my Series 1 review, so if you want to see that, you can go ahead and check that out. But what I will be looking at are the blood stains. So here you get some blood splatters near the front of the crotch area, a little bit on the thigh. It's a little harder to see here because it's dark. On the back you've got some blood stains here on the butt on both sides. Got some blood splatters and drips down here on the leg. And then you can see that the blood is more noticeable on the boots because the boots are white, so you've got blood splatters here. Got some here on the feet, also on the top of the boot, or the top of the foot I should say. Got some here as well. Then on the other boot, you got more on the top, some on the shoe here, and then some blood splatters on the back. So really well done, really cool. He's got the same belt that says Attitude Killer. And then he also has blood on his abdomen here. So you can see that now that the plastic is gone. So really well done. Paint apps came out very well. Even on the basic tights. Looks to be maybe some slight sloppiness here on the white, but that's very minor. Overall, the paint is really good on my Cody Rhodes. Seems to be a little bit of extra white there. The only slight sloppiness that he has is on the mouth, the lips. But that's not too big of a deal. Everything else looks pretty perfect. Alright, and looking at Dustin Rhodes' head sculpt. This is sculpted really well. It looks just like Dustin, and the paint came out really well on this. Now he does have more paint than Cody because Dustin was the one who was busted open in the match, so you've got a lot more blood. So I love the blood effect. It's dripping down. Looks really messy on the side. It looks really gross and disgusting, and I love it. You've got blood splatter here on the hair. He has his blonde hair, just really smooth. His buzzed hair, so blood looks really good. It's all splattered and gushing. So really nice detail on the blood. Got little specks all over, dripping. Then here on the left side, he has his face half painted, but by the end of the match, the paint was all worn off and covered in blood. So you've got part of the paint peeling off, you've got blood over here, blood on his ear. They've got some of the leftover paint on the side right here, which looks really good. Really well done. Then before I forget, the eyes are painted pretty well. They look pretty even on mine. I have seen a few figures online where one eye was drooping down here and the other eye was up here, so thankfully mine does not look like that. Then we already saw the back of the hair, so that's the rest of it, which looks really nice. Then looking at the torso, paint came out really well for the most part. It's clean, it's crisp, no fuzzy line work. The only thing that I noticed is that the red on the lines here looks like it only has one coat of paint, so you can see a little bit of the black seeping through. Now that's not too much of a big deal in my opinion because there are a lot of paint apps on this figure, mostly from the blood effects. So Jazzware's only using one coat of paint on the red lines. It's okay in my opinion. Now you do have blood effects here, so blood splatters and a little bit of dripping blood. So coming from the top of the face, so that looks really good. And look at the arms. Got some more blood splotches on the arms. The tattoos look really good. It's really well done. There's no fuzzy work, no mispaint. They've got a little bit of that over here as well. Then the tattoo on the left arm looks really good. It's really well done, really well painted. Got a few more blood splotches here. You've got some more on the inner bicep and on the forearm. You got the red wristbands, which are painted pretty well on both. Glove looks good on this one, but it's just a solid black. And then this one has some red line work here, which is done pretty well. Then on the back, so no blood effects on the back, but that's okay because the blood is coming from the front. Then you've got this design back here, which looks really good, painted really well. The lettering looks good. Let me go ahead and center that. There you go. So that looks nice, and it says natural. So really well done. Good paint work. Nice, crisp lines. Then looking at the legs, you've got some more blood splotches and splatters here. It's not as much as the top, which is okay, that makes sense. The line work on the red and the silver looks really good on the legs. Now you do notice that the red looks like it only has one coat of paint again, but I'm okay with that due to all the other extra paint from the blood. So paint looks good on there. Paint looks good on the inner thigh as well. Then look at the left leg. Paint looks really good. You can really notice the black seeping through right here on this thigh. But other than that, it looks really good. Some good clean line work. With the exception of this part. Looks like that line isn't lined up the way it should. Whereas on this leg, looks really good. But just a minor gripe, not a big deal. Then the boots for the most part are solid black with this red logo here. You got this bold, this Texas Longhorn. And you've got this movie film camera, which looks really cool, like that. You've got natural on the back on both boots. So paint looks really good on Dustin Rhodes. Really love how this turned out. Alright, then going over the articulation on both figures. First, going over Cody's articulation. The head is on a ball joint and a hinge, which allows it to go that far back, so he can look really high up. That's good. And go that far down. His head can turn side to side. It's a bit loose on mine. And then it slightly tilts. Shoulder has a hinge, which allows it to go that high up. Can rotate all the way around. There's a bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows. He has a swivel and a hinge at the wrist. And then there's articulation at the torso here at the diaphragm and at the waist. So he can crunch that far down and go that far back with the upper diaphragm. You can also pivot as well and slightly twist. Then at the waist, he can turn side to side. Then he can crunch even further. So that looks really good. And then he can go really far back. There are ball joints at the hips which allow the legs to go that far out. It can go that high up. There is a thigh cut. He has double jointed knees. There's a cut at the top of the boot. The ankle has a hinge which allows it to go that far up, that far down, and he has really good ankle pivot. Alright, then Dustin Rhodes has pretty much all the same points of articulation, but I'm going to go over it just to see how the range of motion is on this figure. So his head can go that far back, it can look that far down, which is actually a little better. It can turn side to side, it can tilt a little better. The shoulder can go that high up, and it's a bit stiff on mine, as you can hear the ratchet sound. It can rotate all the way around. There's a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which has really good range. Wrist can swivel and it can hinge, and it has a hinge, so that the upper diaphragm, he can turn side to side a little bit. He can pivot, he can go crunch slightly forward, he can go back. Then with the added ball joint down here, he can go that far forward, which isn't as good, but he can go really far back. He can twist side to side, legs go that far out. It can go that high up, which actually isn't really that high. I wonder if mine is stiff. It looks like this leg can go a little bit higher up. Don't want to force it on mine, so we'll just say that it goes that far up. There's a thigh cut, double jointed knees, a cut at the top of the boot. Ankle can go that far up, that far down, and some really good ankle pivot. Alright, and before I go into figure comparisons, as you can see, Dustin Rhodes is much taller than Cody. Now, Dustin is supposed to be taller than Cody. He does stand at approximately 6 foot 6 inches, and Cody is 6 feet 1. However, this height discrepancy here is a little bit too big of a difference. To me, with the figures, it looks like Dustin is standing at 7 feet tall, whereas Cody's at about 6 feet tall. So, they made Dustin Rhodes a little bit too big in my opinion. Now I know people have mentioned with their Series 2 that Dustin Rhodes was too tall, and even Jon Moxley was too tall. So I just wanted to note that is inaccurate. Even though Dustin is taller, he's not that much taller. Alright, and here's the exclusive Blood and Guts, Blood Brothers, Cody Rhodes next to the Series 1 Cody Rhodes. And as you can see, the two differences are the obvious blood effects on the new exclusive one, and the skin tone on the original one has the pale yellow look, whereas the new one has the corrected, much better skin tone. Then I would show you a comparison between the Blood Brothers exclusive Dustin Rhodes next to the Series 2 Dustin Rhodes.
If I had one!
However, my AEW set that I pre-ordered from Ringside still has not shipped. So I'm one of those unfortunate ones that did not pre-order on day 1. So it seems like the only people that received their Series 2 are the ones that pretty much pre-ordered the first day, or at least that first week. So unfortunately Series 2 is delayed, so who knows when I will get my Series 2 set. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the Ringside exclusive Blood and Guts Blood Brothers 2-pack? I think this is a really awesome set. I love the fact that we are getting a bloodied effect version of wrestlers. This is something that I could never see sold in stores. I don't think any kind of retail store would ever carry this. So I'm perfectly fine with this being an online exclusive. I would love to have more variants like this, or exclusives where they were blood effects or bloodied up wrestlers. So I'm really glad that Jazzwares and Ringside was able to provide the fans this set. So if you're an AEW fan, if you're a fan of the Unrivaled series, and you haven't jumped off the bandwagon due to the poor distribution, then I think this is an awesome set to pick up. And if you're someone like me who is in the same boat, whereas we haven't received the Series 2 figures yet, this is really the only way you can get your hands on a Dustin Rhodes at the moment. So I do like the Dustin Rhodes figure, despite the fact that he is too tall. Would have been nice if they had given this figure an accurate height, but I think it's a really solid figure. And then the Cody Rhodes is really good. I like having this exclusive version. He's got the same tight design as the Series 1, but instead he's got blood all over it, and he has the corrected skin tone. Not only that, but we have a brand new head sculpt on the Cody figure. So I think this is one that you definitely want to pick up. And as I mentioned, if you are a fan of AEW and the AEW Unrivaled series, then you don't want to miss out on this, and you definitely should add it to your collection. So if you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, I do WWE Elite reviews and also AEW Unrivaled reviews. Follow me on social media so you can keep up to date with all my wrestling figure photography. Then stay tuned till the end to see pictures of these figures in action, and I'll see you next time.